Today's video is actually called Overcoming Procrastination and Beating the Productivity Trap. This is something that I think is quite interesting in the concept of people just delaying taking action at all times. And this one thing probably leads to a massive loss of economic output, GDP reduction, people just not achieving their goals, moving nowhere in life, going nowhere. You're just stuck in the same spot. And it's like you're running on a treadmill, and every year they turn the clicks up. They turn the speed up 2 or 3 clicks. Just for you to stay in the same space, you have to basically start leveling up, otherwise you'll just be stuck there. So I think it's important to talk about procrastination. Hopefully you find it interesting as well. I have got my other phone here that I'm using as a kind of teleprompter. I've got a few notes, a lot of the stuff's off the cuff, but what is procrastination? Procrastination is when you fail to take action and you find reasons to basically delay taking action. And these reasons could be for a whole host of reasons, but effectively there's something you need to do and you're not getting up to do it. That's the bottom line, right? And that's the overall thing here. Procrastination can lead to missed opportunities, increased stress and hindered personal growth. Let's say that there's a certain window of opportunity within which you have to take action because it's time critical, time sensitive, and you don't take action within that window, you'll miss the opportunity. And therefore will have knock-on negative effects on your whole system, on whatever you're trying to do, because effectively you're not taking action in the first place. And it's in order to be successful, you must overcome procrastination, otherwise you'll just be sat in the same spot for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Move forward in life, you basically have to find the strength and the courage to face whatever the situation is and therefore overcome it and just take action. And you know, very important if you want to achieve your personal and your professional goals, that you sit there and go, right, there's something I've got to do. It's going to be difficult. I might not enjoy it. There might be some discomfort involved, but I'm just going to get on and do it anyway. And that's very important for a person to actually begin doing. One of the main things that I think is useful for time management is that if you look at time management, if you say, right, I'm going to get up in the morning when my mind is freshest. A lot of people stay up late now, and sometimes it's easy to get into late sleeping and waking patterns due to stress, due to setting up a new business, due to just working late. But it's very important to make sure you get enough hours in the day to sleep and recharge. Therefore, when you wake up the next day, you have enough energy to pursue whatever it is that you're actually looking for right? And so time management, so time blocking, so block out periods of time. When I wake up in the morning, I'm gonna go to the gym for the first 2 hours of the day. I'm gonna spend that first hour doing cardio, and the second hour I'm gonna lift weights, and I'm gonna do that every day, for example. And that would be an example of time blocking. You might say, right, at 12 o'clock, I'm gonna eat for half an hour. I'm gonna put in half an hour in my diary, and that's dedicated for eating, and that keeps my lunchtime eating times consistent and standard over the time period. Blocking can be fantastic for trying to organize yourself, try to manage your personal resources that include time, which is probably the most important resource because you can't buy it back. Every year that goes by, every day that goes by, it just ticks away, and no amount of money, accumulations, things at the end of the game will allow you to get that time back. So I think it's very important to make sure that you're using your time effectively and efficiently and getting things done and getting them done in a way that's actually useful. So I think that's a massive part of procrastination, is that if you just have a lack of guidance or lack of sense of what I'm trying to do in the day, then clearly you're not going to get anything done, right? Right, so this second part of the video is called the productivity trap. We are now going to look at key reasons why people fall into a productivity trap. The first reason, in my personal opinion, and this is the most important and the strongest reason as to why you physically don't get up to take action, you're just stuck there, is that you're scared of failure. Deep down, you are scared that if I try this and I fail, everyone's going to judge me, it's going to look bad, no one will like me anymore, I lose my sense of self-esteem and my confidence. But really what you realize is when you try to do something and you fail, nobody even cares that you did it in the first place. No one cared that you started, no one cared that you were trying to start. People just want to know that you're happy you're doing your own thing. So your mind and the way that you focus on other people's thoughts of yourself causes issues, in the sense of basically you're scared of starting because you're scared of failing because it feels uncomfortable. And again, that rolls back to the psychological element as to why you can't start taking action and doing things. You're delaying the inevitable because you're scared that, oh, if I fail now, they're all going to judge me, it's going to look bad. That is the number one most bullshit reason why you should not. You should just go and do the thing. And when you do the thing, you'll realize, oh, actually, there's probably better ways to do it. I failed, I course corrected, and I tweaked it. No one's first attempt shot at anything is ever perfect. It obviously takes time to get started in any of these things. Perfectionism is another one. It's like a lie that we tell ourselves. Our ego tells ourselves to say, yo, I'm not doing this now because I want it to be perfect, and therefore I'm never going to start. And it's such a strange little trick that your ego, your mind plays on you, because it stops you from getting going in the first place. So if you can't start because you're scared of failure and you're scared of perfectionism, you want it to be perfect and you're worried about failing, you're never going to get anywhere with it. You have to begin and actually start doing the thing. And when you start doing it, you'll actually achieve some sort of result. Now the result might be negative, it might be positive, it might be fantastic, you might hit it straight away, but unless you do the thing, you're never going to get to the actionable outcome or the result, and therefore you've got no data on which to make new decisions and to iterate and move forward. And it's very important that perfectionism is that you're losing all the intermediary data points that allow you to get to a stage where you can actually take action. I think it's important when you're looking at procrastination, do not sit there and try to be perfect, because no one's perfect, and all images of perfection that you see on social media are bullshit as well. People try to make you believe that they've got a fantastic image, and they don't. Everyone's flawed, everyone's the same way, but we're just trying to do things, right? That's the second one, right? When you have a lack of clear goals, when I break my year down at the beginning of the year, what I sit down and do is I write out my goals for the year. My goals will break down into sub goals and 3-month goals, or 12-month timeline, into quarterly targets, and goals are what I want to achieve if everything goes to plan, and the targets are kind of like sub stages. They're like stairs on the way to achieving the goals. And then ultimately the goals and the targets and the plan breaks down into actionable steps, which are formed a repeating pattern over time. And this means that you do the same thing day in, day out for a period of time, or along some sort of a wave or a sine curve or some sort of a wave. And that is your outcome. That's you're saying, right, I'm going to commit to repeating these actions, and through repeating these actions, I will achieve my targets in the short term, and therefore my long-term targets will be hit as well. I think it's very important when people talk about goals and they talk about manifestation, they talk about attraction, law of attraction. All of those things are real, but there's a big word in the law of attraction which people miss out, and that word is action. They forget that the word law of attraction has the word action in it. Unless you take action, nothing is going to be attracted to you because you're not in the right state. It's that fake it till you make it kind of stuff. You're not in the right space, you're not saying the right things, you're not talking to the right people, you're not dressed the right way, you're not communicating effectively, you're not sending enough emails, you're not sending enough calls out, you're not texting enough people. Clearly you're not going to get the result. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those where you're doing the thing, just do the thing and you will get the result. And it's very clear to me that you might get 1,000 no's in a certain situation. Someone somewhere will be like, all right, cool, let's talk about it. And that's the thing, is that procrastination is a very deep-rooted psychological phenomenon, which it's rooted in your lack of ability to put up with uncomfortable situations, which is the underpinning of all success, whether it's athletic, whether it's musical careers, people making it up the corporate ladder, entrepreneurs, business owners, multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires, they all have to be subject to discomfort. And if you're not subject to discomfort on a regular basis, how are you going to make it? You're clearly not going to do anything useful with it. So those are the three things: lack of goals, perfectionism, and your ability to basically focus on what you want through the target and get over the fear of failure, and those will allow you to move forward. An example of this would be that you have, let's say you're a real estate agent and you're selling multi-million pound houses, right? And you have a client who's looking to sell a house, and he might have an agent or someone else on there already. In order for him to sell that house, you have to sign a contract with him. If you're scared of asking him to be a co-agent on the sale or also be involved in selling it, you won't sign the contract, you won't begin the marketing, you won't begin the open days, you won't sell the house. It's a time-sensitive, time-critical thing. Same with maybe payment notices, as I used to be a quantity surveyor, still am of sorts, right? And you get a payment notice. If you don't have a payment notice application from a subcontractor for, say, you're working on a high-rise residential apartment, you've got 1,000 units there, there's an application for payment. After a certain period of time, if you don't value the work and give the subcontractor a notice to say, excuse me sir, this is how much we're paying you for the work that you've done in the last month, that person becomes automatically entitled to whatever they've applied for. It's another one where it's like, if I procrastinate, not only am I contractually at fault, but really I'm giving the guy an opportunity to claim more than he's allowed to. Those are two kind of real world examples that try to contextualize procrastination in the real world and what is it. And hopefully they'll help you actually focus on saying, right, I'm gonna have to overcome whatever it is that basically is stopping me taking action. Right, and those are two more. Another one is that, obviously we touched on this before, so understanding procrastination, so the psychological reasons as to why people procrastinate, fear of failure, lack of ambition, lack of drive, lack of ability to put up with difficult situations and overcome them, laziness, poor lifestyle habits, lack of energy. All of these things will lead to procrastination, because ultimately, if you don't tune your system up, you're never going to go and take action and do anything, because you just don't have the energy to do it. You haven't got the brain power to do it. Your body's not producing enough volts. You're not running, you're not exercising, you're not hitting the sauna, you're not having the cold showers, you're not meditating. And therefore, because you're not doing all those things, you physically don't have a tuned up vehicle ready to take action and go for what you're looking for. Whereas when your system is somewhat tuned up, and people do fall off sometimes, you get into habits of drinking and whatnot, or you might smoke a few cigars here and there, but when you're not on your game, you just don't have the energy to take action, and therefore taking action when you do try is so much harder. You're like, oh, I've got to do something now. I've got to do something now. Whereas if you just tune your system up, have it ready for whenever you've got a roll, no problem. You get up in the morning, you'll do the hardest thing first early in the morning, because you don't mind fear of failure, and you're cool, your system's working properly, clicking and popping, and you get on with it. It's not rocket science. If you have a system which is tuned up and you're ready to go, you can go and take actions. I think lack of ambition and lack of drive. Someone once said, it might have been Elliot Hulse or someone similar, that basically, when you're looking at motivation, you might require it daily. I need motivation daily to motivate myself, but really the thing that keeps you on track is the repetitive patterns over time, consistent action over time, doing the same thing day in and day out, right? Again and again and again, going over and over and over the same things, having the habit, repetitive patterns over time, right? And those things produce the outcomes, because one thing's not going to change anything, but a series of actions along the same wavelength will produce a frequency that pulls in whatever you're looking for. But if you tried once and you failed, that's it, then you're giving up then, and you're not going to get nothing from it. It's important as a person to maybe look at it and say, right, I'm going to do the same thing over and over, and my habits are going to be in alignment with what I actually want from life. And that way I'll get out whatever I'm looking for. It'll actually come to me rather than me chasing it, it'll come to me. And I think that's a very important thing to bear in mind when you're talking about procrastination. Is often it's motivation, it's the way you're living, it's lifestyle habits, but the underlying thing is, if you haven't got the energy and you haven't got the habits in place, you can't do anything. And if you are so far gone down a certain path, everything becomes effort to you. Even walking to the shop, oh, it's effort. Going outside, it's cold, oh, it's effort. Running is effort. When I go and lift weights, I'm not enjoying it for the first 10 minutes or so, and as my body warms up, I start to love it. I'm thinking, I can't believe I procrastinated for 2 days not to come in, 3 days, should have come earlier. right? And that's one of the main things that you're looking at. Next part of the video is about the ripple effect and the outward wave on when you're trying to do something and you don't do it at the right time. How does that negatively impact your life, or how does that positively impact your life? So if you just do whatever you're meant to do, like a professional will just get to work and he'll do whatever he needs to do when it needs to be done to the best of his ability, and he won't complain and he'll just get on with it, because that is the underlying source of being a professional man or woman, is to say, look, I'm here for service, I'm here for action, I'm here to do my duty, and I'm going to do it honestly, and I'm going to be straightforward, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm not going to sit here and have reasons as to why I can't take action. I'm just going to get on with it, right? And in comparison to that, or relative to that, you might have laziness, procrastination, excuse making, all kinds of other reasons. It didn't happen because of this, it didn't happen because of that. This is the fault, and it's his fault, and it's her fault, and she's holding me back, and it's the system, and it's the power structure, and it's the patriarchy, and it's this, and it's that. It's like, none of those things have they might be an element of them, but in reality, it's down to you. When you become accountable for the life that you want to live, it's so much easier for you to take action, because you're like, look, no one is coming to save me, but most importantly, I don't want to be saved. I want to save myself. I'm not waiting for someone to come and white knight me and say, oh, you know what, Amin, we're going to come and save you now, come and put a pat round. You know, what use is that to me? And no use, and I have to rely on someone to come and save the day every time. There's no use. So the main thing is the ripple effect of taking the right actions at the right time will pay off 10 times, right? A stitch in time saves 9, relative to, I'll give you an example, right? I was running a company a couple of years back, and I kept getting tax bills from the HMRC, and the tax bills were penalties for the fact that I didn't file them. So I was only maybe 18 at the time. What do I know about running a business? And didn't find the login, lost the details, then it became effort to go in. They sent me a £100 fine, I ignored it. They sent me a £300 fine, I ignored it. I just thought, yeah, just ignore it, it'll go away. And then eventually it was £1,000. They taxed me £1,000 on a business I made no money on, and I had to pay it. Eventually it got squashed, but the point is that ultimately, as a person, you have to decide to take accountability to do the things in the right time. If you miss a tax deadline, they impose penalties, right? Life is a game of small measurements. It's one of those where you're a couple seconds out, 1/10 of a second, one millisecond, one punch, one action can cause a change in the whole outcome of the game. And therefore, if you're not paying attention to it on that level, what are you doing? Ultimately, basically, you're doing yourself in, because you're sat in a position where your lack of action is causing your negative results. When you take responsibility for what it is that you want to do, and you take actionable outcomes, and you say, right, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, because if I don't do it, there's negative repercussions which negatively affect my life. But if I do it, there's positive repercussions, and they positively impact my life, and it's going to be beneficial to me. Those are the things you need to think about, is that it's not just the thing, it's the way you want to live your life. So do you want to live your life buried with your head in the sand doing nothing, or do you want to live your life on the edge, snappy, flashy, to the point, getting things done, going